to show number 6. My name is Stuart the Steel Cage.
I'm Whamma Dave.
And this is the Aquagon, the only show that splashes bets from a hot tub in the house. As David pointed out earlier, we got Bloody Marys here. It looks like I'm growing a fucking celery stick in my glass, so that's exciting.
You got a vase, dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And as promised last time, as I am a man of the people, I'm a man of intention. And Dave's going to have a little bit more to offer this week than just his blood alcohol level, for you did lose a bet, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, you know what? Conor did me dirty, but I still like the diamond. I got Poirier's Louisiana-style hot sauce, and this stuff just tastes so good, I'm just going to be drinking it up throughout the whole show today. Ooh, goes down smooth.
Ooh, baby. Now, at the end of the day, we have a lot to unearth on this one, and not a whole lot of time to do it, because we know you guys don't have all the time in the world, so we're going to do the best that we can to give you the picks that we think are going to be the most worthy. And like we always say, we're not just going to be like those other YouTubers where we just give you both sides and then say, go with the favorite. Go with the favorite. I think I'm going to go with the favorite.
I think I'm ready to lose my bank account on the dogs this week.
Ooh, baby. Well, I'm not asking you to peel off your 401k, but we did hit yet another parlay. It was a 4-leg parlay. Technically speaking, one of the fights did get canceled, so it's still on the card. He would have won, whether you believe it or not.
Yeah, we had to pick that out.
One thing that's important to note, we had 2 underdogs that we spent a considerable amount of time giving. One Morozov.
Oh, yeah.
We talked about his wrestling against Magomedov, and we said this is his superior. If you can hang with a Dagestanian, you're getting my vote of confidence on the next one. And then I think the one that we spent the most time on was Billy Kid.
Ooh, that might have been fight of the night in my eyes. I didn't even see who got the bonuses, but he should have got fight of the night. That was a great, fun fight. Had a little bit of adversity at the end there, and almost got KO'd in the 3rd round, but man, just held on. Had a good performance for 2 rounds, held on for that 3rd. Great fight of the night.
All right, so our first little sizzle to unpack this week, as we get into the card here too, and by the way, I think that we have a very good main event. I think we're only getting this main event due to the layout, which we will get more into that later into the show, but when you talk about Sandhagen versus Dillashaw, I mean, Dillashaw was a headliner on pay-per-views up until this little hiatus here. So I think it's a good matchmaking by the UFC, so I'm a little more excited for this card than I was the previous one, so ready to start unpacking it. So we're going to get to my favorite, one of my favorite, probably my second favorite to the main event, we'll say, on this card. It's the old Dr. Pepper versus Reese's matchup. Fun fact about me that my co-host can confirm, I have actually had a Reese's every single day of my life since I was 2 years old. Now, I was a wrestler, so in high school, sometimes I would miss a day. I'd just make up for any 2 the next day when I had Reese's. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah. Now, you need the double pack every day or just one?
Gotta get the 2 packs, the right consistency every now and then. I will dabble in the big cups, but we're not trying to go that far.
You don't stray with, maybe the little piece of cookie inside or the Reese's Pieces inside? You fuck with any of those?
Nope.
Just
straight 2-cupper.
Straight 2-cupper.
That's the only way I do it.
That's good to know. So how did this all come about? Now, you said that there's a little bit of a Twitter beef going on.
A little bit of Twitter beef, a little bit back and forth, talking, and some, I think they did a couple of radio shows too, just a little bit of side hype for the fight. And it's not like, what I like about it? It's kind of like a give take. You don't have to have like Conor McGregor out there threatening to kill people's fucking families to get a little hype around the fight. I think it's clever, jovial, and all those different things. One thing I will say, I did say the Reese's, that's going to be the Costa side. And then our boy, Adrian Yanez, better known as Mini Masvidal, is what you're hearing out there from the fans at home. He's the Dr. Pepper side. Now, 2 things that you don't normally see get fucking compared. I don't know how we even came across this.
You know what? I'm going to say 2 guys getting in the octagon in their underwear, fighting over which way to get diabetes is best.
I like that. Diabetes joke might be relevant here.
Ooh.
So, any case, let me offer you 2 sides on this. So, Adrian Yanez, I'm going to be honest, I don't like the price. So, you got Adrian Yanez coming in at -220, and then Randy Costa coming in at +180. Some would argue that you're going to pay a little bit of the juice to be on that negative side for recency bias on this price tag. But I'm telling you right now, what I like best about him is this guy's ability to counterpunch and walk you down. He's very calm in there, and his his counterpunch is absolutely reckless. In fact, I sent you the footage on his last fight.
Oh, yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
Dude, I mean, once he started letting loose with his hands, he just completely tore him apart. It was no contest at that point. Now, my question is, you're saying he's minus 200. Do you think this thing is going to go the distance, or do you think we're going to be seeing a stop?
Honestly, I think it has potential to, because both guys, to me, have shown the ability to be very durable. Yanez is a guy, he's walking everyone down. He's taking punches along the way, and it's not dropping. These are both very good prospects in the UFC, and this is kind of where an immovable force meets an unstoppable, or an immovable object meets an unstoppable force.
Right, yeah.
I said that one wrong. But in any case,
we'll cut it out.
Exactly, that's the glory of editing, which we are, side note, working on the sound. We understand it's not the best, the optics in here, what have you. But we're working through it. Hopefully this show's a little better than the last one. In any case, we'll figure it out. If we can afford a hot tub in the house, we can afford better fucking sound quality. So we'll make it work for you people. We're just getting started. Hey, and that was a little bit too much for filibuster. Back to the fight. Now, the side part. And I think there's some people that, listen, you can make an argument for Costa, and I would listen to you. Because at the end of the day, if you're looking at the weapons, he probably has a little more in his tool bag. Probably the better grappler, although he's probably not looking to do it in this fight. But one thing that I think that he does have is he has a very good kick. He has a very good high kick. He uses it a lot more than Yanez does, and I think that makes a fighter have to think a little bit more. But I'm just telling you, my man's boxing is just absolutely too crisp. This is a solid lock for me. I do think if you want to make some money on it, and it's funny, I did tell you at the beginning of the show, we're not just going to give you all the favorites. Unfortunately, in this show, I'm going to give you quite a few. Just full disclosure, but I just like the favorites on this one. And again, I'm not just going to bet with underdogs just because I fucking need to give, for show content. Not going to happen.
Right.
So I think he's a guy that you're going to have to, you're going to need to save a spot on your DraftKings because it's going to be a lot of output. Although I don't think it's going to be a knockout, I still think it's going to be a victory. I think he's going to do a lot of damage, which will score big. And I think you should put him in all your parlays too. That might be a good way. I mean, 220 is not way off the reservation when it comes to a parlay. Individual bet, there's no fucking money to be made there, though.
Yeah, it's not much.
Yeah. Do you have a different side on this one?
No, I like
horse in the race.
No, I like him. No,
horse that shits maybe when it comes out.
Costa didn't show me enough to have me pick him as that big of a dog. I didn't see enough from him, so yeah. I'm with you on this one.
I mean, again, though, I wouldn't argue with you if you told me in the comments that you're going with him. I mean, I do think there's some value there, but that's not going to be where my wallet goes. Moving on up the card, this next one, I was very interested in this one. And I'm full disclosure, I went back and forth on this, and this might be one of the only underdogs I give you tonight, and I can't fucking believe I'm going to say it out loud. We have Jordan Williams versus Mickey Gall. Mickey Gall taking a plus 150 price tag. Jordan Williams coming in at negative 170. Now, here's the thing with Jordan Williams. He does have diabetes, and I do think that does play a factor.
Do you think it was from Reese's or Dr. Pepper?
Neither. I don't know. Maybe it's inherited. I don't know. I think he's been fighting his whole life. I love this kid's heart. I think it's incredible. I remember we both watched him on the Contender Series. It was a great fight. And, he goes out there and he's showing what is very possible for those that have diabetes. In fact, I just got done telling you I've got a Reese's every day of my life. I also have a long line of diabetes on my dad's side of the family, so I might be right there with him. But a couple of things that I noticed with him. I don't think that he's ready I don't think he's ready for the level of competition of which he's up against. I know that Mickey Gall started, his record doesn't seem to be that much at 6-3 or whatever it is, 9 fights. But keep in mind, he started with his second fight in the UFC, albeit against a WWE superstar, CM Punk. Yeah. But all his fights have been in the UFC. So he actually, if you're talking about true UFC experience, Mickey Gall has it. Yeah. The other part, I don't like the matchup. You looked at his last fight. When he got taken down, Jordan Williams was not very comfortable. That was why he lost. He started to gas from the takedowns. He started to get really ground and pounded very hard. Yeah. What is Mickey Gall known for? Taking people down and ground and pounding or using his jiu-jitsu. You saw this probably best, and I understand we're going to get to the Mike Perry fight here in a second, but you probably saw this best with the Northcutt fight.
Yeah.
Northcutt is a absolute wicked striker. Mickey Gall was able to walk right through it, take him down, and ground and pound him, and hold him out through that whole thing. I think that's going to be much of what you are going to see here. Now, I understand. Now, listen, Mike Perry, he was my wrestling partner in high school. Okay, Golden Pier West Panthers, no longer a high school anymore. He wasn't the best wrestler by any means, but the man is very strong and he has a lot of power that he demands. And I don't think Mickey Gall really tried to do that. And one thing that Mickey Gall showed me in that fight is that he has other weapons. He was using the leg kick. He was using the straight punch. He was hitting with that straight jab and connecting with a heavy striker within the UFC.
Yeah.
So I really like what I saw from Mickey Gall in that fight, even though it was a loss, and even though it lost to Mike Perry, doesn't even look that good as of right now.
Right.
But at the same time, this matchup right here is there, and Mickey Gall's going to be able to walk right through this. Jordan Williams does not, to me, have that knockout power. So when Mickey Gall walks right through it and takes him down, what does Jordan Williams do from there?
Yeah, I like it, man. I mean, I'm not even going to mention that Mickey Gall did lose to Diego Sanchez, when he was calling the spirit of the whole crowd into his soul. And, I'm just going to go with him just simply because the fact he might have the best walkout music in the game.
Hey, Mickey, he really does.
Right.
He really, and
I like the pick.
That plays a role. But most importantly, when you're looking at this, I mean, when you look at a price tag, does Jordan Williams, has he done anything to justify? I mean, he lost his last fight. Gas.
Right.
So
what, he won in the Contender Series and lost his first fight?
So, what has he done to deserve a negative 170 favorite price tag?
Yeah.
I can't imagine. He has less experience. I think he will have a gas tank issue. I don't think the grappling is where it needs to be to face a Mickey Gall. I'm not a Mickey Gall guy by any means. I do like the come out music. I like the kid's story. I think it's funny that he was the guy that fought CM Punk. You probably will never hear me bet with Mickey Gall again, but when there's a matchup with some good plus money on it, there's my dog for you folks. Moving on up the card now. This next one, I think that there's a little bit of a story to tell with this one. So Darren Elkins coming in at plus 130 and Derek Miller. Okay, here's the story. Here's the deal. I think this is more about what Elkins is than Miller. Now, what I will tell you at the end of the day, Elkins' fight style is that fight style that's extremely exciting to watch. I mean, you just keep fighting.
We got to suck it down.
Like I said, it's not just his BAC that's split up. The whole content we have to deal with today, it's also going to be the hard part. So we're all good on that. When it comes down to it, though, Elkins likes to walk you down and use his face as a punching bag, which is a fan favorite thing to watch. He was on a 4-fight losing streak up until his last fight. Kudos to him going out and showing what he can do. But I think that's going to be I don't think it scores well with the judges. This is one that I think will probably go to the distance. I think that when you get bloodied up, the scar tissue on this guy, he is the damage. That is his nickname. It's just bad when you get destroyed in the first round. Derek Minner is a guy that is known to come out fast, swing hard, and I think he's going to come out there. He's going to bloody him up. Smaller octagon. He's going to control the center. You're going to come out of there, you're going to be bleeding, he's probably going to have a cut where he's not going to have full vision. Now, one thing I would offer you on this one is, and I hate to do this because I know this is a sucker's bet and live bets are fucking impossible, but this is one where you feel it out. Because what also happens, if these guys that just walk down like a zombie, you actually almost even saw it in the O'Malley fight, where you just break a guy's spirit when they throw everything they got at you and you did not die.
Yeah, by the end of the fight, you got your puncher's chance.
Exactly. Now, Minner, not the best gas tank. I know that he just switched camps, so maybe he's working on that. He actually, he went the distance last time, and he looked good. I don't know if that will translate over here, but one thing to keep an eye out for, Derek Minner will probably be winning going into that third round, but if he seems gassed, that's where you pound Elkins.
Okay.
If you got two rounds to Minner and you think that he is starting to slow down, I think you might get some very nice plus money on Elkins to go in there and finish him off. They'll walk him down like a zombie. They'll be getting his ass. He might eat a few punches along the way, but at the end of the day, I think it's food for thought. Now, if Minner looks like he does in his last fight, gas tank problems are being taken care of. He was a veteran of the sport, so I think he knows what he's doing in there with the amount of fun. I think he's got almost 40 professional fights.
Oh, yeah. They both got a lot of fights.
We'll see what happens with it. I think that's a very entertaining one at the very least. So I'm going to go ahead and put it for Minner on that one. Again, heavy favorite. Probably someone you put in a DraftKings lineup. Also probably, hit him in a parlay, maybe 3, maybe hit him with a 5 parlay. We will post what our 5 pick parlays, which might sound a little bit different. We'll get more to that in a second.
Yeah. I mean, 5-pick parlays we did. So we had 2 weeks in a row, 5-pick parlays. Last week we had a 4-pick parlay, and then we went 4 out of 5 on a parlay. I mean, we were trying our hardest for these people to give them another week full of 5-pick parlays. We do think we are God's gift of sports betting when we're hitting these 5-pick parlays. But 4 out of 5, give me a break. I mean, that's almost 3 weeks in a row of 5-pick parlays. No one else is bringing that.
No, imagine if we did this shit sober.
Oh, well,
Might be worse.
I wouldn't have done it.
Anyhow, what's a good fight that you want to bring to the table?
Okay,
you're
so,
feeling strongly about?
Man, I think this is when we start to get into the where I like the dogs, and this is going to turn in the argument show, I believe. So I'm going to go right to the beginning of the main card here. All right, so you talked about Gall and Williams. Let's see. I like to talk about the women fights most of the time. So we got Miranda Maverick and Maycee Barber. Now, Maycee Barber, we were at the Conor McGregor fight when he fought Cowboy, and we watched that Roxanne beat the hell out of Maycee Barber for 3 rounds. I mean, just straight up.
We did. Are you trying to sell me on this one?
I want you to remember. You remember the beating she took.
Okay.
I think it was she said about 30 seconds in, she had the injury to the leg, and she took a pounding for 2.5 more rounds. Now, that means this girl don't quit. We watched her get her face beaten. She never quit. And, man, when you see her in good shape and when she's ready to roll, I don't think anyone in the division is going to be able to beat her. She just looks crisp on the feet. I think she's a little bit faster. That's what I'm liking about her, the speed. I think she's faster than Maverick. So I'm going to go with Maycee Barber here.
Okay. Here's my 2 cents on that. I mean, first off, fighters that have to say when they're injured after a fight, to me, is just a sucker move, in my opinion. It's a fucking fight. Injuries happen, and they happen because the other guy's fucking fighting you because that's what he's paid to do. He or she's paid to do. The second thing to this point, I'm going to disagree with you on the Maycee Barber being. I think Maycee Barber is very quick, has very good in and out movement, which I like to see. Now, when it comes to saying that after a fight and whatever the case may be, sometimes people just use that as an excuse to try to maybe buy themselves more time in the UFC. There's a lot of outlying factors. Let's just say that is the case. One of the things that Miranda Maverick that I really like about her, although I think she has a lot of room to grow. There's no doubt about that. I'm not going to argue that. Mm-hmm. I think I see a couple of holes in her game, but the one thing I do see, I think she's just a really well-rounded fighter. Wherever she takes it, she can go on the ground. She'll get down and dirty with you on the ground. I think but where I like her best is her in and out movement on the up top, believe it or not. Yeah. I like how she'll strike, get out quick, strike, get out quick. It helps keep a fighter out of danger. It helps keep a fighter outpoint someone when it comes to a 3-round fight, which you more often than not see when it comes to the women. Yeah, the women don't normally. So for me, I'm going to be going the opposite way. This isn't an official play for me at this point. As far as what is the line on this one? We have Miranda Maverick. I think it was because I didn't like the line.
Who do you think is gonna tip the scales on the power department between these two? Who do you think's got the most power between those two?
I would put it with Maycee Barber.
Maycee Barber.
I honestly would put it with Maycee Barber, which maybe what would put me away from it. I mean, at negative 135, smaller cage, probably a little bit more power. But again, where I'm going back and forth with my own head right now, real time, at the time of taping, I just keep thinking to myself, like, do you see a lot of knockouts happen in women's MMA? You just don't. And I do think Miranda Maverick is a scoring machine when it comes to clout with the judges. So that would be where my pick would go, unofficially speaking. I was saying I didn't like the line, but now I'm like kind of talking myself into it. So go ahead and splash on that one. In fact, I'll take a little pull. Little pull this Dustin the Diamond Red Hot.
Delicious, right?
Louisiana style. Put that on some pizza with some jalapenos on it. Oh, wow. And we are both wearing Hulk gear, so where's my Hulk?
Oh, brother.
Oh, brother. Oh. Anyhow, let's move on to the next chick fight.
Oh, I love the next chick fight even more. Now, you're telling me that we don't see a lot of finishes in women's fighting. Now, this one, I can't see going the distance. My second girl, Maycee, she is ferocious. I've been watching tape on her just swinging for the fences. I mean, slamming women with knees, just hammer fists and just throwing haymakers, choking people out on the ground. I mean, I love everything about her. She's ferocious. She looks like she should be in an episode of Vikings or something. I mean, I love everything about this girl. Now, I know Aspen Ladd, she's tough. She just doesn't have the ferocity that my girl Macy has on this one. I'm going to go with Macy again as the underdog.
Well, I couldn't disagree with you more on this one. And we did talk pre-fight. We do talk these out pre-fight. I said there's no fucking way. Aspen Ladd is a ground and pound machine. Some could even argue she is the female version of Khabib. And when you look at her fights, the way that she tangles you up, it's obviously not Dagestani wrestling. I'm not like trying to make that much of a cross comparison, but she loves to do it, and she throws bombs from the top. You got a smaller cage, which I think she is the stronger fighter. Aspen Ladd, to me, and one thing I want to give you about your Macy, Chiasson.
Yeah.
She has people against her have a 65% takedown success rate.
Oh, that's
okay. So think about where this fight goes, and I do agree with you that the fight is going to finish, I really do, and I was actually going to say that before you even said it. So I'm glad that you agree. We just disagree on who's going to get their hand raised.
Right.
So perhaps that might be a side bet, a finish one way or the other, depending on who sold you more on this one. But Aspen Ladd, to me, she's going to be able to get in there and take her down and fight this fight exactly how she wants to. Smaller cage, she's going to be able to get her up in there, get that takedown. The takedown defense is clearly non-existent when you talk about Macy. And then when the ground and pound happens, I mean, she does it too. She'll at least land it 2 out of 3 rounds, so she'll outpoint a judge for sure. I could see this being a first or second round finish, though, TKO, if you're asking me.
You know what I like too? I forgot to mention about Macy. 5'11" to 5'6". That's a pretty big height difference for that weight class.
Yeah, but
72 inch of reach versus 66 inches of reach.
It's super though.
That's a lot of women coming at you. I like it. Man, 8-1, 9-1. This could be a good match. That's fight of the night contender right there. I love watching these women fights.
It could be a good one. I think it deserves to be in the co-main event spot, and I'm excited to see who moves on from that one. I really think that just what I've seen from Aspen Ladd lately. That's an official pick for me. Again, at -190, I'm not too thrilled with that price. I'm going to be doing a lot of parlaying this weekend. Unfortunately, it's the only way that you can make some money. Hopefully, we can land another 5-pick parlay, put maybe a three-piece on it. We'll see what happens. But I also think that there's some good live bets too, because when you look at this before we get into the main event, I think that there's some gas tank issues on all sides of the ball here. And when you see a gas tank issue, usually someone unloaded the tank, prior to that 3rd round, and that's where you just pick up your fucking phone if you see someone dying on the vine, and you just place a nice little live bet, a live TKO, live knockout, and just sprinkle it in. To the main course, TJ Dillashaw versus Sandhagen. Like I said at the beginning of this show, I'm very, very excited about this one. Now, before we get into it, I want to make sure that I make one thing clear. I don't want to make this about virtue. This is not about right from wrong. I understand that Dillashaw has been the villain in the UFC. He's been the bad guy, the one that people actually love to hate. You have the shit that happened back at Team Alpha Male leaving the camp and what happened with that, the Conor McGregor, some of the shit that he talked between goodness, I forgot who it was, Ultimate Fighter, all that stuff that went down with that. And then you have, the doping. At the end of the day, I want to start with the ring rust. I think that's the obvious thing that people will talk about and give you, but I'm going to be real, and I just want you to think about this in your own life when you've done sports. Think about it like if you were a wrestler. I would imagine a lot of people that love the UFC or watching the show have done some form of maybe MMA, whether it be wrestling, jiu-jitsu, what have you, karate, I don't give a shit. It's an art. It really is. And at any time, you have that, like, when you first start, you have a little bit of the jitters going into it, and maybe you might start a little bit slow. But after you, get right into it, or maybe you even take a punch, or you get taken down, or whatever, all that goes out the window. And now it's go time. I am not that big of a believer of ring rust. I really just don't. In fact, I could make an argument that the guy hasn't taken damage for 2 years, so he's going to come in pretty fucking fresh.
Yeah.
I think he's a professional, so I think that he has trained hard for this fight. Sandhagen by no means is a cupcake. And I think the biggest thing that people won't give you is the grappling advantage here. Yeah. Has Sandhagen taken on a mega grappler?
Well, Aljamain Sterling, and he got choked out, first round?
That's his only loss, is it not?
Yep.
So you could see a little bit of that. Now, you look at Dillashaw's last fight, so you have to understand he didn't look good at his last fight, even though, what was it? What was that shit he was taking?
It was IPO.
IPO, that's what it was.
So that's a little bit of endurance help for. I think that's what the bicycle.
Well, it didn't fucking matter. He got his ass kicked.
Yeah, went down to 125. Fought against Cejudo. I mean, Cejudo, it just was next level at the time. 2 years ago, 2019 January. I mean, Cejudo was at the top of his game. TJ came down. I think he underestimated him. He was using the IPO, trying to get down to that 125, which I don't think was a good weight class for him.
No,
all the things were stacked against him on that one. I'm gonna take that out of my head.
He just looked so sucked down from it. I mean, even coming out there, I think we made a comment on how he doesn't look right.
Right.
Like like there is such a thing as where you're not even too big for the division because you weight cut. You just look fucking just deflated.
Well, what's 10 pounds at 135 to 125? What's that like? It's like 9% of your body weight. It's a huge percentage.
Dillashaw's body fat might have been fucking 8% to begin with.
Right.
Like, you know what I mean? How the fuck's he even getting down there?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, drugs.
Right.
But anyhow, I digress on that point. Then you flip the side. Now, Sandhagen, my man, striking, he can get you from anywhere. I love these flying knees. And the thing is, here's the thing you got to think about. When someone has these outlandish karate style knockouts and things like he's landing, is he going to go in there and do that every fight? No, he is not. But the fighter has to think about it. Yeah. That's the problem.
Yeah, that wheel kick, you're always worried about that.
You have to think about his knees.
Yeah.
You have to think about it. I got done telling you about the grappling. You have to work. When you shoot it on him, it has to be a setup shot. Yeah. You have to hit him with that 1-2 and combo it with that takedown.
Yeah.
I would almost be thinking you almost have to get him on the cage and do head inside single, something along those lines to stay on the damn. Because what's going to happen is Sandhagen, I know, is going to be trying to time that knee. He loves to do it, and he's going to make you think about it. He's going to be hitting him with the kick. There's so much that Sandhagen can do that can make you think differently. But here's the key: Dillashaw's seen this shit before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Think about Dominic Cruz.
Now, I thought he beat Dominic Cruz.
And I agree with you. I believe we watched that fight together. I think that Dominic Cruz lost. I think that you have to beat the champion. There's no way that I saw that Dominic Cruz did enough to say that he was definitively the winner. I was shocked by that.
Yeah.
But either way you look at it, let's just talk about the competition that he's fought.
Yeah.
Competition versus competition. Aljamain Sterling, great fighter, but you lost. Maybe you only lost, but since then, I don't know. And Frankie Edgar, he might be on his way out.
39-year-old Frankie Edgar.
Yeah, 30. Now, full disclosure, I did like Frankie Edgar at that weight class. I don't know. Again, no, I just think he was on his way out. He's one of those guys that maybe he would be past Bellator row. He was good enough to stay in the UFC long enough, but I don't know that that's really that good of a win.
Right. And then before that, Marlon Moraes.
Yeah.
And there was a post Cejudo. I think Cejudo's win over Marlon was steal your soul kind of fight. I feel like Cejudo taking all that punishment in the first round, coming back, and then just beating him down in that second round was a soul-stealing fight.
Well, and Marlon Moraes is kind of like the fight style that I think matches up with Sandhagen. Listen, You're going to get the firefight with this guy. That's one thing. I probably would take Sandhagen because he's got so many weapons I can get you with. He's got the hands, he's got the feet, he's got the knees, he's got the Muay Thai, for fuck's sake. But I think that Dillashaw is good enough to play around that. Yeah. And Dillashaw does a good job of disguising his punches as well. Yeah. He'll disguise you with that kick. He'll hit you with that high kick. He might try to chop that leg down to make him start thinking about it. And that's going to open up the grappling, and I think that's where the victory, now I'm just talking, I actually am giving you another underdog. I talk myself right into it. I like to do this at least once a show where I don't have like a horse I'm choosing. But again, I just think Dillashaw, I think there's levels to this game. I think that Sandhagen has a very bright career in front of him, but I just think that you're getting plus 160. Let's talk about that price tag.
Oh, man. Well, that's why I wore my Christmas in July shirt. You get TJ Dillashaw at plus 160 on a main event at 135 against somebody that's not a champion. I mean, that's Christmas in July.
You're getting this price tag solely based on the fact that the ring rust argument.
And I think
puts a lot of clout into that.
He kind of
and he lost his last fight to a guy in his absolute prime.
Yeah, I mean TJ. I think he stacked the card against the ring rust though, because he's going to be fighting someone who he's familiar with, who he's trained with. in Corey. He's going to also be coming into the Apex without a crowd, without all the external focus coming in that really brings the anxiety and the pressure. So he's going to be walking into a quiet cage against somebody he already knows, he already sparred with several times. I mean, anything that you could be doing to stack the deck against that ring rust, he has done for this fight.
100%. And Dillashaw's not one of these guys that's selling cars on the weekends.
Right.
I mean, the guy, he's a professional. He's been training for this fight. He knows how to game plan, and you're getting plus 160 on a guy that was almost unbeatable no more than 2 years ago before his layout outside of his last fight. I get the recency bias, and I do think that does play a role in fighting. I won't argue that, although I am going to argue the ring rust part.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I mean, if you get vintage Dillashaw, which at 35, I don't think you're out of the range. You're off the reservation. I'm thinking so. That's where my pick's going to go.
Yeah, that age thing is the only thing that's really scaring me. But if he comes out looking anything like he did in the past, I think he's going to clean up this weekend, and then he's going to be fighting for the title next. And I mean, I can't see him losing that title fight either.
Exactly. And even if he doesn't, maybe Sandhagen scores one of those crazy knockouts. You got to see a good fight. It's fucking plus 160. How much could you have lost? So that's all we have this time.
One more shot of that.
One more shot, please. Oh. Right. As always, as I know that betting is not always legal in every state, or currently is not legal in every state, I do like to offer up a very good DraftKings lineup. Now, there's two things that I gave you that I said are must-haves. I think Kyler Phillips and Yanez are two people that you have to make room for. Now, listen, with a price tag of $9,209,000, that's taking up a lot of your salary cap. I think that Derek Minner versus Elkins just he's called the damage, which ideally means he takes on a lot of damage. If you watch any of his fights, face is a punching bag. So that means you got to put Derek Minner in there. Derek Minner, also very expensive, coming in at $8,600. I think that Brendan Allen, with his jiu-jitsu, you could probably see yourself getting a submission there. Again, another high price tag. As I said, I just love the favorites on this card, unfortunately. And I think that those three spots you have to have room for on your DraftKings account. Now, where are you going to find the underdog magic? Again, I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring one, but I think you're going to get a victory on this one. I think you're going to get a decision victory, which you're going to need to hedge with. And that's Mickey Gall. Only a $7,500 price tag. Like I told you, the wrestling's going to be the difference. I think the gas tank is the best I've heard of Williams, where Gall has a very good gas tank. I think he's an extremely good grappler, and I think that Jordan Williams is easy to get down. So with that being said, Gall's going to take up one of those spots. And then the last one, I think the main event. I think you could score really big on this one because Dillashaw always has that ability to knock someone out. His price tag is only $7,400. Very good seat to have there to fill with him. And not to mention, I think he's going to win the fight. I think that you're getting this price tag solely based on the ring rust factor, which I already said if you watch the show, I don't really believe too much into the ring rust factor. I think you could potentially get vintage Dillashaw, and here's the best part. I don't think a lot of people are going to fucking pick him. I think everyone's going to be going with Sandhagen.
I haven't seen anybody picking TJ besides us, man. Everyone I've been watching, they're going Sandhagen.
So you score that one on the $3 haymaker. You can probably see yourself cashing it big. That was where I'm going with it. At the end of the day, though, what I would tell you is, there's just three seats that you got to pick. Kyler Phillips taking the guy in short notice, and he's an absolute wrecking ball. The guy's fighting up a weight class nonetheless, too, so it's kind of a scotch-free fight for him. Goes up, fights Kyler Phillips, he just gets to go right back down, probably doesn't even lose his ranking.
Right.
So I think you got to go with Kyler Phillips. I think Derek Minner, versus Elkins. Elkins is not someone that defends himself, so that's going to be some high output. It's going to give you some good scoring. You have to have him on that. The last one, who was it? Oh, Brendan Allen. Again, same concept with him. I think that the jiu-jitsu is just there. Put those three and then, pick the next couple. I don't really care who you pick, but, there's not going to, you gotta take a gamble on someone. And where do you think it's going to be? Maybe you score a lucky knockout, you go with the guy with the heavy hands. I don't know. But, debatable. Maybe you're going to say, hey, listen, I can't, maybe you peel Allen off because you're like, I can't not have Sandhagen in my lineup. I can see that concept. I also said that maybe you can see Costa, getting the knockout over Yanez, but I just think that's going to be a knockout either way. I don't see that one going the distance. So, pick one of them if you're looking for the more value, Costa. That's kind of my 2 cents as far as DraftKings goes. hopefully you could pick the right combination. Do you have anything you want to offer on that?
You know, DraftKings is your spot, man. I'm gonna go with yours. I'm gonna put yours in my book too.
All right, make sure it's not Hager, because I don't.
Different day.
Different day. That's all, folks.